Today's session will be focused around the energy market. So first and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself, Harvey Knight. I'm the founder of the Sustainable Group of Companies, which is made up of media, investment and technology businesses, namely Sustainable Times and Sustainable Wealth Group. I've been very fortunate to actually invest into a number of organisations in the private markets for the last 12 years. I'd like to make an introduction to the judges today, and I'll let them do a brief introduction on themselves. First, we have James from Volta Energy Technologies, Brian from Wind Ventures, and Marta from US Capital. James, do you want to kick things off, do a brief introduction?
Perfect, thanks Harvey. So I'm James Frith, I'm an investor with Volta Energy Technologies. We're a US-based venture capital fund, primarily investing in electrification. I avoid the energy transition just because we like to think we're slightly broader than that. And we are a technology-led venture capital firm. And what we mean by that is that we do all our own diligence in-house. We have a tech team who are kind of staffed by PhDs. They come from MIT, Argonne National Lab, other kind of prestigious universities in the US. And we combine that technical expertise with financial expertise, with the idea being that we can hopefully find more winners and avoid those zeros earlier on in the process. And looking forward to judging today.
Thank you, James. And up next, Brian, do you want to do a brief introduction?
Sure, happy to be here. Brian Walsh, I'm the head of Wind Ventures out of San Francisco. The name may say I invest in wind. That's actually not true. I invest broadly in energy, mobility, and retail. We are strategic, and our value beyond capital is what we like to call unfair access to. So we like to partner with European startups at the Series A or later, or US-based or Canadian-based, really anywhere in the world, and then offer them a pathway to get into Latin America in that unfair way, leveraging our relationships. And that tends to add TAM expansion, growth acceleration, and we've been doing this for about 5 years with great success. So very happy to be here and to be judging.
Thank you, Brian. And Marta, do you want to do a brief introduction?
Sure, thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here. It's my favorite thing to do. Representing US Capital Global in our London office. We are as it says in the tin, a global investment bank started 28 years ago, but beautifully combining, I think, the corporate and the entrepreneur world. We're looking at all sorts of sectors, but my personal passion is definitely sustainability, energy, renewable energy. I never thought I would be excited about things like waste to energy projects, but I am now, so I'm really, really pleased to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the introduction. So let's get this session kicked off. So the first pitch that we're going to hear from today is Hans from Kali Wind. So welcome to the stage, Hans.
Good afternoon, and as we get going here, looking into the room, it feels a bit like a silent disco where everybody's listening to their own music. I'm here to talk about Kaeli, the onshore wind accelerator. And we're here to solve a conundrum, and I have to work out the technology here. So if you think about it, at the moment, to find a site which is suitable to onshore wind, and until you start building, takes about 7 to 8 years. So that's the situation. The players are from turbine manufacturers and financiers, 3 of them sitting here. The main players are obviously project developers and landowners. And what we're trying to do is break the current setup, which is a one-to-one relationship, and also requires an awful lot of paper-based filing. And I kid you not, this is the true size of some of the paper that you have to submit for the planning process. So therefore, we are looking to digitize this and therefore in the process also standardize it. So taking, as I said, the 2 main players, developers and landowners, Kaeli is a marketplace that takes energy sites and uses AI to assess these and therefore create sort of a visibility between the different market players. And if you like, it's kind of magic. So we have the UK map here, and unfortunately, for those of you sitting in the front row, you can see it's like green and yellow, which are, using our data series, you can start assessing those areas in the country that have potential or even great potential for wind energy sites. You can then use the tool to go into those areas, and if I have a landowner, I can actually plot their land to then create a wind park. Yeah, I can choose the wind turbines, I can choose the height, and it also gives me an indication of inter-market or inter-farm connectivity, but also, most importantly in the UK, connections to the next substation or grid access. And then it calculates the net present value over time using time series in terms of CFDs, contracts for difference, which is the main vehicle by the government to entice investors to finance some of these projects. If you think about it, one of these large turbines, a single one, costs about 10 million by now. So therefore, finding a site, pre-planning and building permit as sort of the three main steps, we're looking to drive down from 18 months to a number of weeks. And the reason it's still weeks is not only do we do the digital analysis of the thing and create the business plan, but we start talking to the local authorities as well to get some feel for the way to actually make it the viability of the site. And then we take the various assessed sites and put them out to auction. So what we're saying here, 2,000 megawatts just at a click. So you as a project developer have now the chance to go and pick and choose sites. You have a secure data room where you can access all the available information and start bidding. And that takes you about 10 minutes. And the nice thing about it, again, it's all standardized. So therefore, it's very clear what you're bidding for and what the conditions are to bid against, which then allows you to create the contracts. So where are we going with this? When we started in November 22, which is not even 3 years ago, we have since built 300 turbines, and we have a volume of about 1.5 gigawatts under management. And that is currently in Germany primarily, and given that we are now sort of trying to continue the journey, the UK is the first international expansion. And then the idea is, and maybe South America works quite well here, to create sort of the renewable platform for wind energy. So what is the ask today? How do we bring Chapter 2 to life? So we want to double down on sales and data science in the UK, expand our product to secondary market trading for operational assets. By that I mean, if you have a wind farm or even a solar farm, how do you auction off parts of those assets? And given some of the technology we have, that will enable that. Lock in our position as Europe's default wind transaction platform. And we believe that the market is obviously massive. Our model is proven, and the impact is real. And given some of the speakers before in terms of the Minister for Climate, there's some really good momentum that the government is supporting some of this, and therefore we're looking to win the main prize today.
Thank you, Hans. That was really helpful. Thank you for doing that. Really interesting business, and it sounds like it could make an extreme impact. Should we go over to the panel then to ask a couple of questions?
Sure, I'll kick it off. Yeah, very well done, very clear. I have a couple of questions. I'll ask this one though. The months to weeks, was it 16 months or
18 months? Yeah, to 10 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. I would naturally interpret that as quite compelling, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And so always prefer to be quantified. And so if you were to quantify that, dollars saved to the key stakeholder or to the key stakeholders, What is that?
Well, we look at it slightly differently. Yeah, it's the transparency we create for the landowner, right? So the speed is one thing, but that is, the landowner is the main beneficiary of some of this, because obviously they now get visibility in terms of the value of their sites. So at the moment, the developer will send a letter and say, I have an offer to you, right? And this looks very enticing, but you as a landowner don't really know whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. So that's one of the things. I think the second one, where I personally get quite excited, is the more we actually run these projects and have now the digital process, you start having the data, and you can very quickly not only find the sites, but you can then start running AI on it and say, okay, what happened here and why didn't it work? What are some of the peculiarities about the UK energy market? I mentioned grid access as being one of the big bottlenecks. How do I start unlocking that and therefore accelerate it? And that's what we call the onshore accelerator.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Very interesting. I was missing hearing a little bit about the team.
Okay.
And all investors will want, they invest in the team.
Okay. Yeah.
And the market and the competitors. I think that's something that at least briefly was.
Very good question. So in terms of the team, we're now about 200 people. It was founded by Ben Schlemmermeier, who's been an energy industry specialist for the last 30 plus years, worked through all the privatization of the German energy market, and his co-founders come from other startups. So Heiko Bartels, who's leading sort of the CEO looking after international expansion, comes from a startup where he developed software. And the third main founder is again someone with a software technology background. So that's from a top team. If you then drop the levels below, I mean, I'm now leading the expansion into the UK from an operational point of view. Lived here for 30 years, worked for Gelenscer for 25 years, so reasonably familiar with technology from that angle. But I'm also invested in the company and own parts of 5 wind turbines, so hopefully have a bit of understanding in terms of what's tricky about developing some of these things.
Perfect, thank you for the presentation. I had just some questions on the business model, really. I think you kind of talked about a couple of things. Auctions, where I imagine you're taking a kind of percentage of the kind of total bid price there. Also the platform, I'm guessing that developers are subscribing to the platform. So can you just talk about the business model and revenue streams a bit more?
Thank you. So we look at ourselves as being a neutral player, right? So the business model is we get paid by the project developer, and we take a per megawatt fee, which then is actually split into phased payments. So it's effectively milestone payment. So first, once the auction has happened, there's an agreement with the landowner, and therefore the developer starts getting to develop the site in earnest. We get the first payment. We get another payment once there's permission to build. And then the third payment, which is actually the largest payment, we get once electricity is flowing. So in that regard, we believe we're incented to actually help see this through and make it happen. And despite all the digitization of it, there's still a lot of hand-holding. When we're working with relatively undigitized local authority planning, there's more and more stakeholder involvement, and so hence we've deliberately chosen that model as we're in it to actually see it happen and see it through.
Okay, fantastic. And then just one follow-up question. You mentioned that the company, Kaylee, is invested in 300 turbines, and you've invested in 5 yourself. So are you also investing in projects alongside the platform?
No. That's me personally, nothing to do with Kaylee, but it's just I've been going through the process of building it and understanding what it takes to actually finance these things and get them built. Kaylee has been we're auctioning off 300 turbines, so we're not currently taking a stake in any of the parks, and I don't think that's going to change. I mean, as I said, what's next phase is this asset auctioning, which is quite interesting to wind park and solar developers, because obviously when they have 100% of an asset and they need cash flow to be able to sell that off, you need someone who then is able to bring together different parties. Our data room and managing the process enables that, and we've just done that in Germany very successfully, 150 million plus project, so it's well underway.
Fantastic, thank you.
Any more follow-up questions, anyone? One from me, Hans, is can this technology be adapted to other markets like solar, for example?
Well, we've just adapted it to the UK and we're still working that through. It could be adapted to solar. The thing though is solar is significantly different to wind, and some of the technology requirements are different. I mean, to find a site, yes, but in terms of calculating the yields of it and the variability of sun over the life cycle of a year, and then so it is. There's actually a sister company called Elysium. They do agro PV, so agro solar, right? And so yes, but it's a separate company because it's so different in terms of the requirement.
Okay, I appreciate that, Hans. Well, thank you so much for the pitch. It was very interesting, and yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
So up next, we have Sandra from SIAB Energy.
So while we're waiting for that, okay, perfect. So probably some of you have flown here. What I'd like you to understand is that my world is in the world of waste. So there's 1.3 billion tons of waste, of organic waste, and 500 million tons of sewage sludge that are being incinerated every year. And that creates a larger amount of emissions than the entirety of the aviation industry. So don't worry about flying on your holidays. Do something about your food waste would be my general message. Where are we clicking? Sorry. So when you're looking at that, there is a better approach for your waste. We're looking at circular cities. So now imagine that this building, or the building you live in, or the factory that you work in, is circular. It's able to process its own waste, convert it into energy, recover the water, recover the fertilizer value, and put it back into the property rather than shipping it off-site. So that's not the future, that's the present. That's what we do at SIAB. We are able to convert it in a shipping container into usable energy. We use advanced anaerobic digestion. We're fully commercialized. We're currently in 6 countries around the world. We have a channel partnership structure that takes us beyond that into 13 countries. And we're working to give the customer back a return on investment of less than 2 years, but also improve their sustainability. So who are our customers and why are they interested? They have the ability, they're looking for something that will give them their sustainability. They're looking at something that will allow them to address the Scope 1 and Scope 3 emissions that they have in their property. So they've done the energy efficiency, they've done the solar on the rooftop, they might even have a wind turbine on their property, but they still have a problem. They're still not meeting their announced targets. So these companies are the ones that have adopted science-based target initiatives. They are declared. There are over 10,000 of them now in that bucket. And we've identified a beachhead market of 400 companies within that are in the food production sector that are suitable that have the type of waste that we can process and that have the targets that they're not achieving. And so we can help them convert that waste into energy on site, improve their sustainability metrics, and move forward into a more sustainable future. So who are those customers? Well, see, these are some of our customers. So we work with blue chip customers in a variety of different countries. We allow that we take their waste, we put our equipment on site, we do it either as a service. So up until now, we've been doing it as a CapEx purchase and then a software license agreement. We're converting that into a waste as a service model. We're doing that in all of these countries, and we also have a leasing model for the equipment. That gives the customer a return on investment, and it gives them the ability to meet their sustainability goals. So when you look at where we as a company make money, the recurring revenue that we get is from those license contracts for the software, but we also have a franchise model for our channel sector. So the channel partners that we have are working in either as resellers or agents or license holders. So we have a license, we've sold a license, for example, in Australia. They've come on board to manufacture and distribute the product for the Australian market. They've paid us an upfront license fee, and then they pay us a royalty for every unit that goes out the door. That license is then renewable every 4 years, and we go in a circle. So that gives us a recurring revenue model. We also have raised project finance to deploy the units, so on a contract basis, and that feeds into our recurring revenue model as well. So that recurring revenue is accounting currently for about 10% of our revenue, and it'll grow into about 50% going forward. Our targets are 12 million next year, and we'll go up to approximately 200 million in the next 5 years. We've identified the sites. We've already secured the majority of the business for next year. Our fiscal year end is June 30th, and we will have brought in almost the entirety of our annual target in the month of June. So we're accelerating our access to market and our commercialization of the project. Thank you very much. So if you'd like to join us as a client, as a channel partner, or as an investor, we will be starting to raise our Series A in January, and we anticipate launching that. We won't launch it before January, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra. Very, very insightful. Just to kick off a question from me, how much does one of these machines normally cost?
So they range in price depending on the volume of waste that they're going to convert into energy. They range in price from about 200,000, and the largest project we're doing is 6 million.
Really interesting. So over to the judges. Do you want to fire off some questions?
Thank you for the presentation, Sandra. That's really interesting. I guess my first question is just, you mentioned you're about to kick off the Series A raise. How much have you raised to date?
So we've raised 6 million in private funding, $1.5 million from CVC, and then 3+ million in grant funding.
Okay, perfect. So about 10 million.
Yeah.
And how many projects has that supported so far?
So that's supported 7, the development of the technology, and then 7 projects.
Okay,
so, but the projects aren't, we've sold those projects, so they're revenue generating. So we're revenue generating, and we'll be profitable June 30th this year.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very interesting. Can you tell us more about the energy output as well as the competition?
Yeah, so on the energy output, it really depends what the input is, because the input is our fuel. So depending on what they're putting in, we'll get a different amount of energy out. But a typical one for us would be 1 ton of food waste going in will produce 20 kilowatts of continuous energy, electric, and then 40 kilowatts continuous energy heat. So they're small. Generally, they're a subset of what the site can use. So we're not tending to put it back onto the grid. It is meant to be a circular solution rather than just a purely energy generating. We're not expecting anybody to be bringing waste on site to process to produce more energy. This is truly about improving their sustainability metrics and using what they've got on site as a fuel. And then there was a second?
Competition.
So we are the leader. We are the patent holder globally for the containerized technology. Our patents have been granted. We were first movers in the space. There are a few smaller companies in individual geographies that have come into the market with similar products, but we have the advantage in that we have the know-how in advanced anaerobic digestion, which is the underlying process technology. We also have the blue chip customers that are taking us in, so we are starting to get quite a reputation around being the leader and the one to go to if you want to install it in building in the center of city. So our Google install is downtown New York City, for example, and we've met the regulatory environment, which is, it sounds like nothing, but it's a very big feat.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Great. I'm just going to ask about scalability, right? So you're probably in between here, but the 2 bookends might be, you've done 12 million of revenue you've done a bunch of pilots with a bunch of different customers, and you're waiting to receive sort of expansion orders from them. That would be a bookend.
Yeah.
And the other bookend is, no, you're having repeat customers, and you've even have financing that is aligned with you, and it's almost pre-underwritten, so you can go hunt for new projects, and it's very seamless to then get it underwritten, right? Yeah. Are you at one of those bookends or somewhere in the middle?
We're probably somewhere in the middle. We are working on the rollouts with customers, so we've got the strategic customers with the rollout potential, so where they have a first site, they have another 10 behind, or they have another 40 behind. So the customers that are acquiring right now in June, they all have follow-on business coming to us next year, which will cover our next year's revenue model. I think our biggest stumbling block is the make or buy on the technology itself. We are struggling on capacity with our production partners and planning forward capacity from them, and so we have a question mark as to at what point do we push the button to make it ourselves.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sandra. Very insightful, and thank you for your time this afternoon. Thank you. So up next, we have Abshnik from TechnoBuild.
That's just a clicker if you want to use it.
You want to be the first this time?
Am I audible? So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abhi. I'm co-founder of TechnoBuild. It's the fastest track to deliver the energy infrastructure transition. TechnoBuild brings Pace OS, a unified AI platform to deliver projects in a much more sustainable manner than ever before. It's achieved the highest cybersecurity standards, including SOC 2 ISO 27001, awarded for innovation by Innovate UK, National Renewable Energy Labs, and AWS AI for clean energy transition. Have any one of you ever heard of a major infrastructure project that got done on time and budget? Almost never happens, right? So we are reimagining how the world builds the net zero infrastructure and using AI to power predictability, visibility, and assurance so we can achieve this transition on time. There is an urgent need for smarter infrastructure, and that's what drove us to build this solution. And the platform is already being used by major developers like Exxon, Shell for energy, Microsoft for data centers, Vestas wind energy, Network Rail, and power companies for building their infrastructure. For over $2 billion in scope, the studies have shown an 18.6% improvement in productivity in these projects that we are live on, and close to 100% on schedule. So what is the problem? Project execution has nightmares for developers every time. They are working on an outdated information model, which is literally Gantt chart from World War I, siloed teams, and reactive risk management that they're always reacting to problems. But this also creates a massive opportunity to address the trillions lost in productivity, 1.6 trillion by McKinsey. And that's a 1 gigaton of carbon emission that can be totally avoided in this industry. So we've reinvented project delivery for developers and engineers using an AI and GIS orchestration that takes the design planning, field execution, the entire supply chain, and mitigates risk before they happen. It informs people, gives them it's the only platform that contains the entire information of the project from concept to grade. So from after you build it all to the end of life cycle. It is a massive opportunity. The rise of infrastructure SaaS, 40 billion, it's a bottom-up calculation, 42,000 projects in North America, 33,000 in Europe. It's been developed by our co-founders, Yogesh. He was building at minus 40 degrees in Northern Canada, multi-billion-dollar projects. And imagine having a material issue right there. So he became a world leader, a thought leader for Construction Industry Institute, developed the engineering construction process. My background was machine learning for a city-based hedge fund for 15 years, doing machine learning for millisecond data. And we've joined by a great deep expertise team across energy infrastructure, data science, who have helped us create an engineering breakthrough in building infrastructure that is containerization, which connects siloed systems, contextualizes, and controls. And now we are able to develop agentic AI that actually can control a lot part of from design and a supply chain execution. And these digital blocks is the only technology that can give the holistically the true carbon footprint in managing and designing these buildings. That's what these digital blocks, because they contain the entire supply chain information. And so the three innovation work together as a digital control tower. The operating system that drives the projects connects to the legacy and existing tech stack, so we are not disrupting business as usual, and gives a new carbon manager, which is a proactive way of managing it. It's the only platform that can do this right now, and we have, our customers are developers and engineer contractors, where it creates through the insights a value chain that leads to hyper-growth condition, because the more they use it, the more value it's created. We have a solid understanding of the unit economics with a 9x multiple for lifetime value by CAC, and our revenue projections are to scale quite rapidly over the coming years as we are expanding the market. We are raising Series A to expand the market reach for us, and our vision is to become the technology backbone for industrial infrastructure, de-risk the investments, and reduce carbon footprint in these buildings. Join us in empowering a sustainable infrastructure for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashnik. Very insightful. Should we go over to the panel, the judges, for the first questions?
Sure, I start this time. Thank you so much, Abhi. That was very, very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit more about your business model and the customers and how that actually works?
Yeah, in go-to-market, right now we are matured as enterprise SaaS models. So like these big developers, they're not doing just one project, they're doing a portfolio of projects. So we give them 500 million worth of CapEx spend. They charge us around, we charge around 700K annual subscriptions. They don't name the project. But there's a secondary model, which is project-based, where we help these projects from concept to Gradle, and then we use that information in their maintenance and turnaround model. So it goes to a lower costing model from subscription when they're in the OpEx mode. Those are the two business models we have developed now, and going strong on that, go-to-market.
Thank you for the presentation. So I was just wondering about kind of scaling this across geographies and markets. How easy is it to do that? Do you have to, I imagine if you're going into a new market, you're having to think about different regulations and different tools that you have to provide for your customers. So how easy is it to kind of grow the platform?
Great question. So once we were building the platform, we had to make sure it's scalable. So you can see you have LNG projects, you have offshore wind, you have data centers. It's all on the same platform because it's templatized to understand and contextualize the sector that they are in. So it understands the best practice and the regulation within the sector. So technologically, it's sorted within the platform. In the last 6 months, we have matured customer success. So it's a 6-week guaranteed project delivery to get on board a project. Now, the scaling issue comes in when you have implementation in markets like Chile, I was explaining earlier, where we have partnered with local project consultants who are taking it to market. So these are like local consultants like KPMG or Hatch who are advising these projects, and it's a partnership model to expand the market reach in local markets.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And just a clarification, so you're currently on the sort of the pre-construction phase and then maintenance, meaning post-construction phase, that's where you are today?
We are in the entire life cycle. So in pre-construction, this is called feed in the industrial, it's early design. That's where they're optimizing the execution planning. Then it tracks all the way to execution. So it's assuring all the investors, developers, that, hey, assurance is happening on time, and it's proactively detecting risk. But after the facility is built, you know what, this platform knows everything about this building, right from cradle to where it's stand up. So in the operation and maintenance, now we are doing pilots with Exxon there, where they're using this to now plan their proactively the maintenance work, so their cost capital efficiency in the life cycle of the asset.
Got it. No, it's clear. And so my question is, with these sort of innovations, typically you need job site data, either from the laborers, the tradespeople as we call them in the US, and that can be incredibly difficult to get them to do something that they're not used to doing. And without that, you're missing a big component of the value add.
Yeah.
So a lot of startups I see in the US are going to robotics, computer vision, trying to do it in a non-human sort of way so that the laborers can just be comfortable doing what they've always done.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's another great question. And that is fundamentally where the last mile data capture, it can be taken through either their existing site systems, that's field construction, if they're using a Procore or some other tool on site, or we have come to sites where they're using paper, and we've got a machine learning app that just takes that page. We've reduced the cost of that. So 5,000 workers on an entire site in Texas are using just machine learning from our app to onboard that last mile data. So you're verifying it, and it used to take them 30 days to process it and pay it, but now it's 1 day.
And you're doing that today? So you're sending up data, you're then extracting that data, you're then normalizing that data so it can be used?
So it's AI-centric, and the AI can interpret it and use for risk.
You're doing that today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we have that connectors, because we are a unified platform. We have connectors to LiDAR and robotic vision, so that once people have moved on for other technologies, we can integrate that holistically to get that intelligence.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry.
Thank you, Ashley. Well, thank you everyone for your time this afternoon, and good luck to the founders in the Startup World Cup, and obviously good luck for that as well. I know the guys will be scoring the obviously startups today, and obviously hoping that you guys obviously get to the finals as well. So obviously good luck for that, and yeah, I hope everyone has a good rest of their afternoon as well. Thank you.